Hey, happy day 62. Sharon Horn, I think it's 62. Yep, 62 of the BP Challenge. Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here. Not sure what my blood pressure's like today. It's been a long, crazy day. I had my 4-year-old granddaughter today, and she was sick today, and it's always so miserable when the little ones are sick. I forgot how stressful it was when my kids were sick because they're 25 and 28 now, and I forgot what it's like to have a little sick human around, and how to cajole them and how to keep them happy and how to make sure they have their needs met and that they're going to be okay, and how just absolutely utterly miserable they are. So could have used my coffee today, but this is day 3. I kind of found myself, I broke my coffee pot on Saturday, so I didn't have any coffee Saturday. Had a super duper bad headache, a migraine. It triggered a migraine, and I felt terrible. And then yesterday, I should have gone out and gotten a coffee pot, but I ended up doing things all day, working on a bunch of projects, getting ready for the holidays. It's that time of year, and a bunch of other business and personal projects. So I didn't go out and get a coffee pot. And then today I had my amazing little granddaughter who was sick all day, so I didn't go out and get a coffee pot. So it was day 3 without coffee, and it was one of those days I could have used the extra energy of the coffee. But that leads me to our topic for today, and my topic for the blood pressure challenge today. Most of the sources that I found recommend that you avoid coffee when it comes to blood pressure. But coffee, like everything else that you will ever test on yourself, is something that you have to decide you have to test yourself and use yourself as a science experiment and find out if it is positive for you or negative for you. For me, I actually gave up coffee for 5 years after my sudden cardiac arrest because the literature back at that time indicated that coffee was bad for me and bad for most people, so I cut out coffee. Then I came to find out in 2017 when I had a huge health challenge where I couldn't walk and my inflammation went crazy and I couldn't get out of bed for a couple of weeks versus 3 years last time. I found out that something about coffee was good for my blood type. And so I started drinking coffee again. And coffee ended up being something that was actually good for me. And I experimented and I tested it on myself, and I found out that a little bit of coffee is actually really good for me, good for my blood type. And I've also found that it lowers my blood pressure. So I think it's because I've got one of those brains where it just goes 100 miles an hour, and so the coffee just is like the same speed as I am. I don't know. But coffee makes me feel better, and so it also lowers my blood pressure because it reduces my stress level and it makes me feel better. Anything that makes me feel better reduces my blood pressure. So for me, coffee is a yes, although this week so far coffee has been a no. I'm drinking right now this horrible, because I also have a cold. I have my granddaughter's cold. I think I've had it for about a week and a half now. Some horrible tea type concoction. Now, some teas make me feel better and they reduce my blood pressure. Other teas make me feel yucky and increase my blood pressure. So I have to be really careful with the type of teas I drink. Just like herbs, which we'll talk about in a couple of days, there's different herbs and spices and seasonings and things that have a different effect on each and every one of us. And depending on the impact and the effect you want to have, just like supplements and vitamins and the nutrition and the foods we eat and the exercise we get and everything, and sleep, which we'll talk about in a few days as well, everything affects each and every one of us differently. There's some overall guidelines. Yep, most human beings need more water. That's a pretty fair statement. But how much is different for each of us. It's true of everything else that we want to consume or put in our bodies to give us the energy we need to succeed in life, no matter what our goals and objectives are. So coffee is a yes for me. It may totally be a no for you. I have lots of friends and lots of relatives that, and we've got similar genes, that can and cannot drink coffee at all, or have to drink decaf, or, whatever reason. But we're each different, and we have to figure out for ourselves what is right for us. The same is true with tea. Alcoholic beverages, of course, every source on the planet says limit your drinks to 2 drinks a day. Again, I personally found out when I was doing the blood type work a couple of years ago that for me, which was surprising, red wine is actually really, really good for my blood type. Now, I'm not a big drinker anyway, since I had kids that kind of put a kibosh on my ability to drink hardly anything. I mean, I'm 5'1.5", probably 5'1" now because I'm sure I'm shrinking with age, but I'm short. I am a short woman, and so I've never been able to be a really big drinker. I mean, I thought in college I could keep up with everybody, but I'm sure I was an idiot because most of us are. When we think that we're being cool, we're usually making an ass out of ourselves. So I used to think I could drink, but once I had kids, I knew it was all over and that I wasn't going to be a drinker really ever again. So red wine, once in a while I have a red wine with my sisters and my mom, out with friends, whatever. Red wine's now my thing. Used to be vodka, but vodka's neutral, so I just don't bother. And since I gave up pop, as in diet soda, in 2010, to me, I didn't have anything to mix my vodka with, so I kind of gave up vodka back then too. I'm not going to judge or say what is the right amount of drinks for you or what is the right type of alcohol for you to consume. Again, just like everything else, that is for you to test and figure out on your own. If any habit or anything you're doing is negatively impacting the results that you want to get in your life, then it's up to you to decide if you want to reevaluate that or not. It's 100% up to you. I always look at what I'm doing in my life, and if I notice a behavior that's popping in, and I noticed a behavior at on the gym boat a couple of weeks ago, that I have some super defensive behaviors. This is just an example. So I noticed I was really defensive about something, and it was totally an overreaction, and it wasn't based on what the person was saying or the way they were looking at me, but it triggered in me something and some behaviors from my ex-husband. And I realized that I still have head trash and things from that relationship that have to be dealt with, that caused me to be triggered and behave defensively in ways that I never even thought I was defensive, but I personally saw myself being defensive. So now I know that, just like if I'm eating too much sugar, or if I'm having a couple too many drinks, or if I'm drinking too much coffee, or if I'm drinking too much, I don't know what I could drink too much of, too much lemon water or something, and I feel weird about it, then I know I have to stop, reevaluate, and say, is this making me feel the way I want to feel? And, it's the same with our feelings and our emotions and our behaviors, just as it is with things that we might habitually do. Frankly, I was drinking too much coffee. I know I was. I had snuck back up to the probably pot and a half a day, but I'm using Keurig cups, so I'm not really keeping track of it, but probably was going through 8 to 10 Keurig cups a day, so that tells me I'm drinking, at least a pot of coffee a day. Is that too much? Well, I think since I got a really bad headache on Saturday and it triggered a migraine, that's clearly an indicator to me that I was having too much coffee. And so I'm altering my behavior. I'm saying, okay, let's cut out coffee for a few days, and then let's bring it back in a little bit at a time and see what is really the right amount. I think it's probably like 2 to 4 cups a day. It's not 12 to 14 cups a day. And we have to do that with everything in our life. So today, our challenge is to look at the beverages that we consume. I'll be perfectly honest. The reason I gave up diet pop is I knew I was addicted to diet pop. I was drinking at least 2 2-liter bottles of diet pop a day, along with a pot and a half to 2 pots of coffee a day. And that's what I was living on all day long. And then I wouldn't eat all day long. Pretty much I didn't eat at all during the day. I was busy running several businesses, and I said, oh, I don't need to eat. I can just keep drinking caffeine, and that'll keep me going till at night. And 10 o'clock at night, maybe I would get home. I would eat whatever was available, usually something really, really bad for me, like jalapeno chips were my go-to thing. Had a pantry full of food, but at 10 o'clock at night, after working all day, the last thing you'd want to do, the last thing I wanted to do was come home and cook. So I didn't. I would just grab whatever I could grab out of the pantry and eat that, and then die for about 4 hours, and then be up and doing it all over again. And so I knew that I had to give up diet pop. I just knew it was bad for me. Now, I joke a little bit that I had a sudden cardiac arrest and died a month later, like a month after giving up diet pop. And so I joke that the formaldehyde is part of the reason that I'm still here, all the formaldehyde from the diet pop. I don't know if that's true or not, but it's kind of funny. So today, your challenge is to evaluate your liquid intake, the things that you drink, because another thing that people don't notice a lot of the times, and that's part of why I gave up drinking and didn't really drink cream in my coffee. I noticed that all the coffee I was drinking, when I was drinking cream, I didn't think I was getting that many calories, but I was gaining weight. And that was because I was subconsciously drinking, like half a cup of coffee and a half a cup of half and half. Well, that's a lot of calories when it adds up over a couple of pots during the day, because that's probably 10, 12 cups. That's a lot of calories for a short person. So I started drinking my coffee black, things like that. So just look at, what are you doing? How's it working out for you? And do you want to, or do you need to make any changes in order to achieve the goal that you want? I will contend that if you're going out every night and you're drinking a 6-pack or having 6 or 8 drinks, and you're having a hard time functioning the next day, even if it's only a couple of nights a week, that is probably negatively impacting any long-term goal or objective that you're trying to achieve. Depends what the goal is. Maybe your goal is to be a party animal. Well, then you're going to easily and successfully fulfill that goal. But I think you understand what I mean about this. So today, evaluate what you're drinking, and I will see you tomorrow with another very, very important, for any of us, no matter what your goal or objective is, thing to consider. I'll let you know what that is tomorrow. Have an awesome day. If I can help you in any way, if you are struggling with anything, hit me up in the comments below. Do not be afraid to ask absolutely anything. I want to make sure that you finish off this challenge and get the result that you are aiming for. Have an amazing day. I'll catch you tomorrow.